welcome to our show. Now, while we've got Karen on, she want to come on and talk about a bit about herself, a bit about what she does in the spiritual community and her spiritual journey. So, Karen, I'm going to throw it over to you to give you a bit of introduction towards what you are doing, because I read your bio and very, very interesting. And again, thanks very much for coming on the show. And do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, so I'm Karen Mendall, and I'm a freedom from self-sabotage coach. So I help people overcome self-sabotaging habits, which really everybody self-sabotages, and it's really needed in today's society. Pretty much everybody self-sabotages. So I work with people. I do a lot with the subconscious mind and educate people on how the subconscious mind works and how 93% of our thoughts, actions, and feelings are tied to the subconscious mind. And then that kind of ties into like a lot of childhood trauma, childhood programming, because a lot of the things that people are dealing with now tie back to their programming from the ages of 0 to 7. So I've been a coach now. I took the program in September 2020. So during COVID, when everybody was stuck at home, I was really working on bettering myself and learning. And I also took a holistic lifestyle coursing coach. So I'm Czech certified holistic lifestyle coach, and then Christoph certified freedom from self-sabotage coach. So from there, just wanted to help people because I overcame a lot of my own self-sabotaging habits, and also the last 2 years specifically have been working on healing some of my own childhood trauma. So now I just use that to help people based on my experience. So like really since I was a teenager, I was self-sabotaging. So drugs, alcohol, binge eating, toxic relationships. And it wasn't until probably a decade ago that I really started focusing, getting healthy, kind of having my awakening journey, which has now been a decade long and just constantly growing to get where I am now. So now on my journey, it's my time to kind of help other people get to where they need to be their best selves and to live their best life.
I think that's really interesting that you do on self-sabotage, because that's probably a thing that pretty much everyone does, especially the way we're programmed and everything, and the way our coping mechanisms are. And I used to also be an addict myself, so I can relate to the self-sabotage thing a lot. So what do you think the biggest reason is? Like, if I know you work with a lot of different people. Like, what do you think the biggest reason is that people self-sabotage? You think a lot of it's childhood trauma? You think that's a major reason, or do you think they just have learned unhealthy coping skills, or just their subconscious, right? Like when you're used to that pattern and then you try to bring something new, like love, new relationship, or new money, something that's outside of your comfort zone, that's not the normal, right? Like your brain wants to bring it back to the normal state, right?
Yeah, I think it all ties back to that programming, and it doesn't necessarily have to be trauma, but really everybody has some kind of trauma. And it's not even like intentional. It's not even like a bad thing. Like, even if your parents did the best job, there's always going to be something that makes you the way that you are. So a lot of it has to do with that 0 to 7, which is the time that your subconscious mind is still in the theta state. That's more susceptible. But even like we are being doused with programming nonstop. So the TV, the radio, I mean, we saw with COVID, like stay home, stay safe, like all of that is programming us to think and feel a certain way. So it's everywhere, right? Even even you see like sex is all over the place, and that's teaching people to be like addicted to porn and thinking that it's normal, and then they're getting into these habits, and then gambling, like it's being promoted, and then that affects people, and it gets into their subconscious mind. So it is from childhood, but even like in today's world with the TV, with the movies, with what's being promoted, they're always coming at us trying to make us live our worst life, pretty much, right? Even like with the foods and trying to normalize like these unhealthy foods. So that's all programming us to think that it's okay to be mediocre and live kind of like the rest of the world.
Like unworthiness, I think unworthiness. We're programmed to believe we're not worthy, whether it's from childhood, whether it's from the media. So the self-sabotage is bringing you back to, I'm not worthy enough to have this good thing, so I'm just going to go.
Right, because there's so self-sabotage, there can be like, health, financial is huge, right? And we live in this world where it's like we can never have enough things, and we're supposed to be happy with just having things, the dopamine, right? So they know how to trigger that dopamine, but really you should be doing it naturally. And I think The one thing is that we, like as humans, we're pack animals, right? So we want to fit in with the herd. So we stay safe and we play small to fit in with the herd, but the herd is sick and broken. We're all sick and broken. So in order to get above the herd, it's a feat, because you have to tell your subconscious mind, like, no, it's safe. It's safe to be healthy, and it's safe to be physically fit and financially stable. We don't want to go back down, because your subconscious mind is constantly pulling you back down to that mediocre place where it's safe with the herd, and the herd is, you know, disease ridden and sick and eating unhealthy foods and saying it's okay to be overweight. You don't need to be healthy. It's okay to spend all your money on these things because you're going to look good. So yeah, like they're constantly programming us even today. And then you also have to piece together, you know, anything that maybe happened from your childhood. And again, it doesn't always need to be negative, but if you grew up in a household, for example, that ate unhealthy food like I did, my subconscious mind feels safe when I'm eating that food. And I really had to put a trigger to that emotional eating, like, okay, I'm only doing this because I'm feeling unsafe. And like, this is how I feel safe in my childhood, is like eating this junk food, for example, right? So that's how you feel safe, because that's what you know from a child.